You're listening to Community Forum on KCCC 930 AM, sponsored by Eddy County, honoring God, country, and family, thriving with industry since 1889. Thank you for listening to Community Forum. My name is Johnny Chandler. I'm the host. I also happen to be the owner of the radio station. And with me today, once again, but in a different capacity, if you will, is Kat Davis. She's the executive director of Carlsbad Main Street. She's also the executive director of Pearl on the Pecos, which I've learned a lot about just now before we did the interview, so everybody listening is going to get to learn about it a lot as well. And there's a real important meeting coming up soon. So, Kat, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Johnny. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. Great. So, executive director of Pearl on the Pecos. I think you mentioned to me that you were executive director of Pearl on the Pecos before you were executive director of Carlsbad Main Street.
Yes.
And if I say executive director enough, I will mess it up plenty of times.
I know.
Right?
I say it 10 times really fast.
Right.
Yes, so it can be a little bit confusing, and we're trying to make that less confusing for people. So when the Pearl of the Pecos Arts and Cultural District for Carlsbad was formed, it was actually formed in 2016 originally, and it was formed under the Creative Carlsbad Arts Council. And just in recent years, I guess at the end of 2021, it was decided to actually move that organization under Carlsbad Main Street. And that's actually in line with the rest of the state because the arts and cultural districts, they're actually a program of New Mexico Arts as well as New Mexico Main Street.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, we pretty much have the exact same boundary lines as Main Street, that kind of downtown district area. A lot of the events we partnered on, and as it was, our main kind of partnership is always the Downtown Farmers and Makers Market and our third Thursdays. We do have independent events of each other, but we also pretty much work together on a lot of them.
Right. So the Carlsbad Arts Council, is that what it's called?
Yes, Creative Carlsbad Arts Council. Okay. Yes.
That organization handles pretty much the entire city.
Correct. Yes.
Right.
Whereas we're this little downtown.
Right. So it makes a lot of sense for Main Street and Pearl on the Pecos to be so connected and essentially, I mean, the same organization.
Yes.
Right. And so it makes a lot of sense when your focus is this 8-block radius, I think, for lack of a better term, around 8 blocks or something like that, which is, the idea behind a Main Street or an arts and culture district is to really be able to hone in on an area where you're trying to attract people, right? Help make that continuously beautiful, really focus on local.
Yes, indeed.
And art's a big part of that. People travel all over the country for art. But let's go ahead and get in a little bit more history of Pearl on the Pecos. So 2016, it was formed. Now, were you part of it from the beginning?
I was not, no. There are some folks that we do still thankfully have on our committee that were a part of the original application. And actually, it wasn't until 2018 that our application was approved. So you might know him in a different capacity, but Ken Britt, he is one of the OGs, we'll call them. Mary Garwood, she was actually a part of the OG crew. My predecessor in this role, Julie Chester, she was on the OG committee. Patsy Jackson at the time, she was the community development director for the city, and of course there are some city folks that were involved then that are still involved now. John Lowe, our city administrator, he was a part of that original application and group. Carla Hamill, now Niemeyer, who was the Main Street director, she was a part of that original kind of push. Diane Jupe, who's the Creative Carlsbad Arts Council president. So a lot of the people that were a part of that original application are still heavily involved in different parts of the arts, as well as still the Pearl of the Pecos. So we're super thankful for that.
It was started in 2016, but you mentioned it wasn't...
So the state approved our application in 2018.
That's what I was getting at. So I was going to make a joke about the state, and I'm still going to make that joke. Right? It only took 2 years. Wow. That's like amazingly fast for the state. That's quick.
Oh, yes.
I like to bash anybody in Santa Fe just a little bit, just a little bit. All right. So, 2 years is not that bad. So, tell me what encompasses the Pearl and the Pecos district. And I mean, we kind of know what the downtown district is, right? Mm-hmm. But You know what art is the gazebo next to the courthouse part of it? Is that considered art?
Yeah, that's actually considered a public event space because that ultimately is what it is. We use it for concerts when we do our weekly farmers market.
That would be the culture.
Correct.
Right? Okay.
I have witnessed weddings take place on there. I've witnessed photo shoots. That's all a part of the arts and culture. So yeah, kind of when you think of an arts and cultural district, sure, it's got all the aspects that the Main Street district does, like we said, or the district boundaries are the same, but you're kind of looking maybe at the same thing in a different light. So one example that just came to mind would be like Salon NV. Sure, when I'm looking with my Main Street hat, it's like, okay, people are walking in the door, they're spending money, dollar signs equals economic vitality. Right. If you're looking at it from the arts and cultural side, that's a health sector of the creative economy. So getting your hair done, that's a form of artistic expression.
Absolutely.
Being the hairstylist, being a makeup artist, being an esthetician. People don't consider, I mean, gosh, have you seen any of the TikToks or YouTube tutorials about how to do your makeup and the literal art that comes out of those? I mean, people don't necessarily think of those in that sense, but they fall under the creative economy. And that's kind of what arts and cultural districts throughout the state are trying to do is strengthen our creative economy, those industries within those sectors. I mean, food, a restaurant, that culinary arts.
Right.
People always seem to overlook that, and art is literally in the word culinary arts.
Right, okay.
So yeah, every plate of food you eat at a downtown restaurant, that of course, it's economic vitality, but it's also the creative economy sector of it. So that's really, we're trying to just bring awareness and education to people. Really, I always just bring it back to, it's all about awareness and appreciation. Sometimes when people hear of art, you instantly think of fine arts and it's, you know, a fancy, expensive painting hanging on a wall.
Right.
Whereas my goal in this is to try and make it more accessible, that art is for everybody. Like your breakfast you just ate, that could be art. Did you take an Instagram post of it? You know, kind of just making art more accessible and educating people that it's not just this one size kind of fits all. And our farmers market has been really helpful kind of integrating that, because we did open it to more, now it's the downtown farmers and makers market. We have a lot of artists that, you know, come and sell their crafts, their work, their literal works of art. I mean, we have the artist gallery downtown that is, I mean, a collection of, I think there's over 20 artists in there right now. That's a cooperative collection. They have the Carlsbad Area Arts Association. I mean, we as a community are rich in arts, and it's just bringing that awareness to people and, you know, opening new opportunities. Our farmers market has been a really good example because the vendors can set up beside each other. I've seen people make connections, make friends, open like co-op store. You know, it's been a really good success, and that's kind of, I know we're about to talk about the meeting that we have coming up soon, but that's really the whole point of that. And we're working on getting a cultural economic development plan done for Carlsbad, which we're hoping it will be a working document. We're going to have professional planners come from Site Southwest out of Albuquerque, and they're going to kind of look at our assets inventory and that will include, you know, do we have art galleries in the district? Do we have performing arts centers? Do we have restaurants? Pretty much going through all of those different sectors and kind of doing like an asset inventory on them. And then taking public input on, you know, Johnny, you might show up and be like, hey, I love the farmer's market, but I feel like it's missing this component, or, you know, why don't we use the Hologueno Arts Park more, or how can we, or what can we do to activate those kind of spaces? And these professional planners are going to take all of that information that we as a community provide and turn around and give us a really nice document kind of saying, hey, this is what you have. These are your shortcomings. These are your strengths. This is what you can improve on. And here's how we see you growing on the economic side of culture going forward.
Okay. So the city of Carlsbad has created this arts and culture district, but technically it's not recognized by the state.
Right. Not yet. Not yet.
All right. Now, if we become, and we'll get into the meeting details and all that here in a second, but if you become recognized by the state, what benefits can that potentially bring?
So we think it will open up a lot of different avenues. The main two will be new funding sources as well as tourism. So once we get that state authorization, it will be listed on our New Mexico Main Street website, New Mexico Arts. We'll have it on our own website, so when you're Googling New Mexico Arts and stuff like that, but we'll also on a national level be recognized as a state authorized arts and cultural district. And now that I've gone through the process, I can wholeheartedly tell you I appreciate any state authorized anything a whole lot more. Like you said, yeah, it took 2 years just to get the application going. It's now 2023 and we're still working on it. But this year, a lot of work is going into it, and we really hope to see that authorization hopefully by the end of this year, if not the very, very beginning of next year.
In your opinion, do we qualify? Like, do
yes.
you feel like we should be rubber stamped by the New Mexico Arts Council?
Yes. So honestly, this cultural economic development plan is our last step.
All right.
It is the missing key. It is the missing component. But it does, of course, cost money to get professional planners and things like that. So it's actually through a grant that I received at the end of 2021 that we got the funding to kind of go through this whole process.
Are you a good grant writer, do you think?
I personally don't think so, but I will say I've done pretty well recently.
Right.
This particular grant was for $40,000, and then I did get $350,000 for the Cavern Theater last year.
Yeah.
So I try to say no, mainly because grants scare me, but
right.
I've been very fortunate.
That's kind of what I was getting at. If you can write grants, or you're somebody that can
manage
and get grants, then you become a very valuable individual, because those grants are not simple.
They're not. And I think people don't understand the maintenance of them is a whole lot more than just the actual application.
Because once you get the grant, you then have to fill out information.
I have monthly reports. I have a lot of, there's a lot of back end stuff that goes into them, but
the work's not done just because you got the money.
No, it's like, here you go. It's like, no, we need to know where every dime's going, which is great. And we couldn't be more thankful to have grants and resources and things like this to help us move this work forward, because honestly, we might not get the funding for it otherwise. So even though they are a lot of work, we're super thankful for the grants.
Right. Excellent. So Alagueño Arts Park is part of the downtown or the Pearl of Pecos Arts and Culture District. Okay. Obviously the Cavern Theater, we should talk about that for a second. So you got $350,000 when the state wasn't really giving out a bunch of money for those things, I think. So commendable. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. And then even more notably, at the end of last year, the city of Carlsbad got a state grant for the remainder of the funding, which is $3.3 something million. So that definitely trumped my 350, but we both, we partnered on the applications. Ken Britt with the Cavern Theater Task Force and Angie, they both with the city of Carlsbad did amazing work on all of these grants. The city has put so much time and effort and resources into the rehabilitation of the Cavern Theater since they accepted that gift right around the same time as the Arts and Cultural District kind of was born. So the Pearl of the Pecos, the Creative Carlsbad, Main Street, they've all been a huge supporter of the Cavern Theater rehabilitation since the beginning. And I know I'm coming in on the tail end of it. I'm just super honored to be a part of that. And I can see the value that it's going to bring for our downtown. It ties in with that creative economy that I'm talking about, but also just economic vitality, historic preservation. The Cavern Theater is going to hit all of those check marks, and it's super exciting.
When can we anticipate that being done?
We're hoping within 2 years.
Okay, so I'll preface that by saying that when you deal with anything in construction, you never give a definitive date.
Oh, and post-COVID construction, that's even better.
Right. Even though the architects and the contractors, I'm sure, are really great. It's more along the lines of
it's the supply chain
getting
issues.
materials and how am I going to do this and how are we going to do that, and hoping it comes in. So, as the executive director of Carlsbad Main Street and the Pearl and the Pecos Arts and Culture District, what do you hope to see in the Cavern Theater when it's done? I mean, we'll have a huge ribbon cutting and a big hoopla, I'm sure. But what do you hope to see in there?
Big party.
How do you believe it could be utilized best? Because it's not a movie theater anymore, right?
Well, it will be.
Okay.
See, that's. I don't think there's any best way, I guess, to envision it. I see it as potentially what it's going to be, and it's going to be a multi-functioning performing arts center. So yes, we will be able to show movies, but we also will be able to hold dance recitals, concerts, conferences, educational seminars. I mean, we could live stream the Met. Like if you can't go to New York, we can bring it to you. You know, when they do different educational pieces, I think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be, every Friday night, there's a movie at the Cavern Theater. No, I think this Friday it'll be a movie. Next Friday it might be a string quartet. The Friday after it might be just dance recital. Right. I really feel like it's going to just encompass kind of all of the different art forms.
I mean, outside of the community theater here and like possibly the middle schools or the high schools, we don't really have a venue like that, do we?
We have the Civic Center,
right.
But that is kind of up to promoters and things like that. It's not really the organizations within the community, because none of us can really fill a 2,000-seat venue.
Right.
But, I mean, like when Parker McCullum was here, that was sold out and people on a waiting list, which was amazing. But, I mean, we can't really do that downtown, but versus a 500 to 600 seat venue, right, which is ultimately what the theater will be able to hold.
I've never been inside that theater, even though I'm sure, it's being redone.
Oh, we should get you a tour.
Yeah, I'd like to. Does it have a second floor? Does it have a balcony area?
It's not a second floor, but there is a balcony area.
Okay. Right.
It kind of goes upward.
Yeah, I'd really love to go see that. And I'd love to see it when it's like under construction.
Yes, right? That's the best. Honestly, yeah, the last time I was there was maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, and just in the span of a month, I was blown away at the difference. But I was able to see it for the last 2 years, kind of consistently.
So is that going to get to be considered in this application to the state then? The fact that it's fully funded, does that make a big difference? Yes,
that's huge. Yes.
Okay, let's get into the funding part, the meeting part I mean to refer to. And then we'll talk about that maybe a couple times, make sure everybody can participate. So there is a community planning meeting. It's for the Pearl of the Pecos Arts and Culture District. And this is for us to be a state designation.
To receive public input to help be included in that document that we're going to get back at the Cultural Economic Development Plan.
Right. So one of the last steps.
The last step, yes.
This cultural economic document that we then have to goes to the state arts and culture district, right? Yes. And so we need to get all that. This is like one of the last big hurdles to that, right?
Yes.
Okay, and then that state art and culture district will decide if we qualify or not.
Yes.
Now, you believe that we qualify.
Yes.
Right. But the Cavern Theater will be a big part of that.
Yes.
Now, how important is community input in a public meeting for this final document to go to the state? How important is for the community to be involved in that?
In my opinion, it's very important. I mean, we could hold this meeting and 2 people show up, and that might be ultimately the only 2 opinions that are included in the document. But if we have a diverse representation from all areas in Carlsbad, if we had, I mean, I'm not expecting 200 people, but since I said 2, I feel like I should say 200.
Right.
I mean, that's hearing voices of people, and that's ultimately what we need. I mean, last year, I think it was, we did online, just a community survey, like, hey, are we doing what the community wants us to do? And this wasn't part of the cultural plan at all. But honestly, some of the feedback that we got from that, it's kind of like, hey, what would you like event planners to know? Like, are we offering services that you want to attend? Where are we lacking? Where are we doing good? And like I said, just the feedback off of that, I think we had over 100 participants in that survey. And I still use that as a tool, as a resource. I even gave it to the professional planners that are coming. I said, hey, this is just an ad hoc kind of survey that we did. But yeah, the more people that we can get in the room, the more conversations that we can have. And again, who knows who's going to show up to this meeting on the 19th. That could even open up another avenue for 2 people who might not have known each other, and something becomes sparked. It could be turned into a networking opportunity for some of these folks. And yeah, at the end of the day, whether it's positive or negative or just, constructive criticism, we're open to accepting it all. And again, the more the merrier. But I would like to mention, so the meeting is Thursday, January 19th from 4:30 to 6 p.m. at the Carlsbad Museum. I am also, up until that date, and honestly after it, I am accepting public input via email. So my email is director@pearlofthepecos.org. So if people, or honestly, sometimes people want to submit things anonymously, which I'm totally okay with as well. So you can send your email and I will make sure that feedback or comments gets to the Site Southwest staff. We don't want anybody to feel like, oh, since you didn't make the meeting, that you can't be involved in the process. You can send us a message on Facebook at Pearl of the Pecos. You can call the Main Street office. We're open to hear anything. So.
Right. 575-628-3768?
Yes.
Okay, so you give them a call, 575-628-3768. Honestly, let's just be honest about it. If you email her, director@pearlofthepecos.org, and you have it in writing, instead of somebody having to transcribe the phone call, it'd be much more convenient.
Yes.
Right, so just shoot the email, send a Facebook message.
And we will have some snacks and refreshments at the meeting, where I know it's a tough time. We wanted to try catch people as they were either leaving work.
So do you have to be there for the whole time?
No.
So this is like a come in and come out whenever you want.
Yes.
And there'll be a facilitator at the meeting as well. There'll be 2 individuals there from Site Southwest. So basically, it's not like
there'll actually be 5 facilitators. Okay. Yes, well, I will be one of them.
All right.
So me being the director, Ken Britt, as I mentioned, he's probably one of the people that's been in this from the beginning. And I wanted to make sure that we had somebody from New Mexico Main Street. Her name is Michelle Negretti, and she is the specialist. They have technical specialists in all different areas, and she is the specialist on the creative economy and all of this. She has been my resource at the state through this whole process, so she'll actually be here also for that meeting. So we're going to kind of have different little breakout groups, and depending on people's interests, whether it be events, collaboration, current assets and inventory, if you just want to learn more about what is an arts and cultural district, because like I said, not a lot of people are even aware that we have one or what all that encompasses. So we'll kind of have different sections, and you can move between the sections. You can stay at one for the whole hour and 30 minutes if you feel super interested or have a lot of engagement, or you can we'll also just have kind of poster boards with info. We'll have handouts, take home stuff. So we're kind of trying to make it as accessible to any interest level or any knowledge level as well, because I know some people will have been a part of this process. Some people will have never even heard of it.
Right. So you go in there and you can meet people that will help, invigorate your imagination, help bring out what you really want to see, instead of just being like, oh, I'd like to see another statue somewhere or something. They can really direct you on how best you can enjoy downtown and the Arts and Culture District, right? I mean, that's kind of basically what it is. Now, so that is Thursday, January 19th at the museum. For anybody that doesn't know, it's 418 West Fox Street from 4:30 to 6. Go have a snack, have some.
And hey, if you haven't been to the museum recently, it's actually one of the last weeks, I believe February 4th is when their current exhibit from Gary Niblett is showing until. So even if it's just an afternoon to come and stroll and check out the beautiful exhibit that we currently have, it's all about Western art and cowboys. You can do that as well.
Now, the museum's part of the Arts and Culture District, I assume, right?
Yes,
that's right. And I think the street behind is that where the boundary ends?
It actually ends right on, right behind there.
Yeah, right behind
Alameda,
okay.
right.
Yeah. So does the library play a role in an Arts and Culture District?
Yes, okay. Tremendously.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. And
that's honestly I would say for the hubs of our districts, the Main Street, of course, would be like the courthouse, Eddy County, lawn, all of that right there. But for the Arts and Cultural District, it would be the Halagueña Arts Park and the museum and the library.
That is the largest concentration of art that you can appreciate in the city, definitely. I believe, right?
Yes. Okay. And our Arts Park alone is, people don't realize that we even have one. It's such a beautiful resource. But
it's pretty phenomenal.
Pretty much you just have to take either a left or a right off of Canal there on Mermod, and you'll be in pretty much both of the hubs of our district.
So some people may think that the state of New Mexico would give out arts and culture district designations like you would throwing candy at a parade. Right? That they would just like, here you go. Yes, we want you to have one and you to have one.
Here's one for everyone.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I mean, you could see like maybe that would be the case, right? But I did some research online, and you and I were chatting before we recorded the interview, and this is actually a very special designation. And I think from my research so far, just the fact that, you know, we're like basically on a final document and preparing a final document to go ahead and get in front of the state is pretty special within itself.
Right. And one thing I meant to mention it to you off air, but I'll do it on air as well. You would actually think we would get extra brownie points being that we're Carlsbad's Arts and Cultural District, because a super awesome part of our history and, well, I mean, our current history, it was actually John Heaton that wrote got arts and cultural districts into the legislature. Okay. Like before 2008, they were non-existent in the state of New Mexico.
And John Heaton was the one that did
wrote that document to make this an actual program. I'm sure his wife Julia had no influence. I hope everybody knows that was a joke, because she is, of course, one of the main art figures in our community. So yeah, both of them together really were the ones that helped catapult this for the state. So yeah, you would think we would get a little gold star for that history, but actually no.
We should
Maybe they look at us a little more critically, because they were arts and cultural districts for all of the state of New Mexico. Were actually born right here in Carlsbad.
You know, John Heaton and his wife have done a lot of great things for the state.
Amazing.
Down here. It's the
almost everything actually, on that note, I mean, hopefully by the time this airs, it will be installed. But tomorrow, Tuesday, January 10th, we will be getting a new piece of art in the Hologueño Arts Park, thanks to Miss Julia Heaton. So we're super excited for that. So hopefully by the time people are listening to this, you'll be coming to our community planning meeting on the 19th. And but on your way, you can go check out Spiral Spirals, the new art piece.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw some construction tape up
tomorrow at 10.
The other day.
That's what that's for.
Excellent. So pretty special designation. You know, it looks like we'll be the 8th.
Yes. So yeah, like you said, they don't just give these out like candy at a parade. And like I've mentioned, we've been in this process for years now. And I should, of course, mention that COVID definitely put a hiccup in that. So if that hadn't taken place, I know, because I started this position in the middle of COVID. I know that the committee and the Arts Council, they were on a really good stride right before COVID hit, moving forward with this. So if that hadn't have been a factor, I do feel like we might have gotten the designation already. But also, I mean, COVID helped us all stop and slow down and look at things differently. So even our approach to getting this community input meeting and our cultural economic development plan, the whole shift of that has changed as well. I mean, I would have hated for us to have gone through this process right before COVID, and then COVID hit, and we pretty much have to throw that plan out the window. So thankfully we have a lot more experience under our belt, and now we know how to adapt and navigate when a global pandemic happens to hit or things like that.
Yeah,
so
I think there's an overall, like, a greater appreciation, if you will, about having art outside during COVID as well, right? So I mean, like, you were always able to go to a park during COVID, right? Outside, no matter what the issue was. But going into a museum became difficult for a little while. And why we hope it's more than 100 years before we have another one of those things happen.
Yes.
Right? I hope that I'm not in my lifetime, I hope, right? But the idea is that, like, being outside and having this outside arts and culture district. I mean, obviously you have things to do inside, but, you know, the Hologueño Arts Park is a great example of just being able to go outside and enjoy great local art.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yep. And there's a lot of it there too. Everywhere you turn, there's something else. So we'll be in some exclusive company, because we would be the 8th when we get it. We're not going to say if. When we get it, we'll be the 8th. Yes. But the previous 7 are Las Vegas, Silver City, downtown Albuquerque, Artesia, Gallup, Los Alamos, and Raton. Mora is a cultural compound. I don't know why that is, but they're also part of the state. It's called a cultural compound.
That one I'm actually not too sure on what that means.
But either way, so we'll be in pretty exclusive company. You would think that Santa Fe would have that, but Santa Fe is not. They do not have an arts and culture district.
They don't.
They probably don't have any art in Santa Fe.
Not at all. No. Maybe they have too much that they wouldn't know what area of it to name the district, because you have to set your boundaries.
Right, and it can't be
the trick. It can't be the whole. Can't be all encompassing.
Right, nope. Right. So I think that'll be great. That'll put us in a very exclusive club, right? And I think that's wonderful. Go ahead and give us the information again on what exactly the document. Go ahead and tell us what document you're creating, why you're creating the document. You may have said it once. Let's say it again, and go ahead and give us the dates to be there.
So our Pearl of the Pecos Arts and Cultural District for Carlsbad is in the process of getting a cultural economic development plan done for our district, which is the final step on becoming a state authorized arts and cultural district in the state of New Mexico. And we are hosting a community public input meeting on January 19th from 4:30 to 6 p.m. at the Carlsbad Museum. We would love to see you there. And if you're unable to make it, you can also send me your comments or feedback. My name is Kat Davis, and my email is director@pearlofthepecos.org. And our office number, it's Carlsbad Main Street. It's 575-628-3768.
All right. Definitely something worth going to. If you want our community and the Arts and Cultural District to be open and available for more funding, the option to have more funding and the option to be put on a higher level. We are one of the main places to visit, the caverns obviously, but there's so much more to do. And this would just be icing on the cake, if you will.
Definitely.
All right. Well, Kat Davis, Executive Director of Pearl of the Pecos Arts and Cultural District today. Thank you very much for coming in.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
You're listening to Community Forum on KCCC 930 AM, sponsored by Eddy County, honoring God, country, and family, thriving with industry since 1889.